This is the 5-Minute Youth Devotional Reading with Alex Sarria.
March 17th, Genealogies. Genesis 4:1 says, "Now the man knew his wife, Eve, and she conceived and bore Cain." Why so many genealogies in the Bible? They're boring to read and don't contribute much, you might well say. Well, they're not. Playing chess or doing a Sudoku may seem very boring, but I say that they are anything but that. We may think that genealogies don't contribute much, perhaps because they remind us of census lists, but they provide us with something else: values and memories. First, they confirm the fact that they are historical documents. That means that what we are reading is not a myth. It's not an unimportant matter because it gives veracity to the Bible. Second, they have an ideological function. That means that they will tell us about origins of people. Having roots implies belonging, bonds. Imagine the Hebrew people listening to genealogies in the wilderness. A slave people who didn't know who they were. Knowing where they came from gave them security and certainty. They were the memories of the family. Their God was the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the one of a lifetime. Finally, genealogies emphasize values. They're not censuses. They're passages that contain important messages. For example, why insist so much in the first genealogies about how long each character lived? Surely because it wants to show that the world was not always the same and that there was a time when people was less affected by sin. Why are so many places mentioned in Chronicles? It's easy. The people returned from exile and had to go back to their areas of origin. Mentioning the place they came from was like going back to their settlements. Why does Matthew's genealogy consist of 3 blocks of 14 generations each? Matthew 1:17. Because for the Jews, the Messiah was a descendant of David, and David in Hebrew adds up to 14. D equals 4, W equals 6, and D equals 4. Jesus, therefore, was 3 times 14. That is, the Messiah of the Messiahs. Why does Luke say that Jesus was Joseph's son, as was thought? Because the genealogy is not Joseph's, but Mary's. Interesting, isn't it? I remember my grandmother opening a photo album and telling me the names and stories of those I didn't know. I bear my grandfather's name. I barely remember him, but I've seen so many photos and heard so many stories about him that I find meaning when my name is called. God does something like that with genealogies. He shows us that we have a past, and therefore we know who we are. In conclusion, they are neither boring nor unimportant. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If this was helpful for you, please share it with a friend. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. Always remember this: walking with God is the greatest thing you could ever do. You are His priority. Make Him yours, and you will always live out your purpose. God bless.